Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is One Piece East Blue Saga Syrup Village Arc, Episode 18, You Are a Special Animal, Gaimon and His Bizarre Friends. The episode in a nutshell is just a brief summary of what happened within this episode. So this is the final episode within the Syrup Village arc, and it is a side quest. So basically, Luffy and the crew, they start off kind of in their slice of life on the ship sort of thing. You have Usopp playing make-believe that he is the captain with a wooden stick, Nami sitting there reading her maps, Zoro taking a nap, and Luffy is there painting a very terrible mark on the flag that he says is going to be theirs. Usopp then sees this and goes, "You know what? You've forgotten there's an amazing painter on board." And he then paints his own mark, which obviously they don't use. He then repaints Luffy's arc, which is the skull and crossbones wearing the straw hat. And he paints that first on the flag and then on the sail, and we then see kind of a storm off in the distance. And Nami reveals that it's a famous island known as Treasure Island that's supposed to have tons of treasures on it. So they pull up to the island, they get out, and as they're exploring, they notice some rather odd animals, which are all kind of a mixture of two existing animals mashed together. And there's a voice coming out of nowhere, basically claiming to be a god on the island, and he'll curse them if they go any further, trying to scare them away. However, when they talk to this voice, the voice basically, which is Gaimon, gives himself up or Gaimon gives himself up as having been a former pirate. He then tries to shoot Luffy, but obviously, it gets bounced back at him. He then sets off other traps that miss everybody and does no damage whatsoever. Luffy then chases him. When he catches him, he finds that Gaimon is a person stuck in a box. But in the end, once he finds out that they're not there to kill the animals, he becomes more friendly because there's a poacher problem because of how unique the animals are. And he takes them back to where he supposedly lives, and they have his homebrewed moonshine and a fun conversation where he then also reveals his backstory, how he was part of a pirate crew that came to the island looking for treasure. They only found one empty box, but then as they were about to leave, he realized that they hadn't checked the very, very top of the cliff, so he decides to climb up, and he catches a glimpse of 5 unopened treasure boxes. However, then he slips, falls off the cliff, ends up stuck in a box. By the time he comes back to consciousness, he goes running, but the ship is sailing off into the distance. He's been abandoned and left behind. And that is how he spends the next 20 years on the island with the animals, fending off poachers, trying to protect these 5 boxes that he saw, that he sees as his treasure. Luffy, being the nice guy he is, decides he's going to go and confirm the treasure for him. They then ride on a turtle cow all the way to the highest part of the island. Luffy goes up there and at first says, "I found them, I'm not giving them to you though." And that is when Gaimon realizes that they were also empty, so he asks Luffy if they're empty. Luffy confirms, "Yep, these boxes, they're empty." And Gaimon, of course, is disappointed, but Luffy points out that it's a good thing they figured this out now, because if it had been 30 years later, he might have been dead. So at least now he can have that peace. Luffy then, of course, invites him to join the crew, and he is touched by this, but ultimately decides that The animals have been his family and friends for the last 20 years, and they're the true treasure of the island, and he wants to stay and continue to protect them. And so Luffy and the crew then sail away, and Gaiman wishes him well on his dream of collecting the One Piece and becoming the Pirate King. And that is what happens in the episode. And now that we remember what happened in the episode, it's time to rank the episode. As always on this channel, we rank on two lists, a mostly objective ranking list as well as the personal ranking list. So we have our mostly objective rank values, and I have highlighted those I felt applied within this episode. So first off, we have the introduction of a multi-arc supporting character introduction, which is Gaimon, and well, there's not much more to say to that. He's a guy stuck in a box. His hair looks like a bush because it's green and floofy, and he protects the animals on the island. Other than that, not much to say, but worth 3 points because he does recur in other arcs as well. And then we also have another 3 points, which is for the impactful or memorable moment line slash etc., which of course is the creation of Luffy's mark, his pirate flag, and their official symbol being created. Now that they have 4 crewmates, that makes them, you know, legitimately official. um, but obviously, a big milestone has been reached, worth the 3 points, bringing us to 6 for our positive total. However, there, of course, is a negative, and that is that this episode really has no main plot significance whatsoever. It's completely a side quest, completely a filler, and that is worth minus 4 points according to our chart. So that leaves this episode ultimately as a 2 out of 10. And because this episode is the final one of the Syrup Village arc, that means that our mostly objective ranking for this arc is now definitive. And in first place, we have completely infuriated Kuro versus Luffy, final battle. In second, the world's strongest, oh my goodness. In second, the world's strongest weirdo, Django the Hypnotist. Third, we have the terrifying duo, Nyabem Brothers versus Zoro. Fourth, defeat Kuro, Usopp's tear-filled determination. In fifth, honorable liar, Captain Usopp. Sixth is revealing the conspiracy, the pirate caretaker, Captain Kuro. Seventh, battle the Black Cat pirate crew, battle on the slope. Eighth, we have Luffy's revival, Miss Kaya's life and death confrontation. Ninth, we have Protect Kaya, Usopp Pirate Gang takes action. And then in 10th and last place, we have this episode, which is that you are a special animal, Gaimon and his bizarre friends. So now we come to the personal ranking list, and in the case of this episode, I agree with the objective. It is a 2 out of 10 from me as well. Honestly, I thought the animals were really fun, that it was like all a mashup of two different animals. I liked the kind of awe moment at the end where you just go, aw, because he thought the animals were the true treasure and they were his family and they're who he's going to stay with. Very cute moment. However, I'm not a huge fan of Gaiman's character design. The whole being stuck in a box thing, head looking like a bush thing, wasn't for me. A lot of the jokes, at least, like there's this joke about a treasured son being in a box, and that's due to cultural differences. It just didn't translate into English. Even in the subtitles, it fell completely flat. There were some funny moments when he was playing God in the voice and how he kept giving himself away as not actually being a god because he kept making comments about what they were doing and what he was seeing and being confused and surprised by it, even reminiscing about how back when he was a pirate, he didn't believe devil fruits were real type thing. So those were some funny moments. Obviously, Gaiman being left behind was kind of sad, kind of running with the theme, because, Usopp was also left behind by his dad. In this case, Gaiman left behind by his crew. Not one of them did a head count. Not one of them realized, hey, our friend's there. Not one of them thought, oh, let's turn back and see if we can find him because he was there as we were leaving and now he's not. Nope, they just left, never looked back, never came back. 20 years later, he's still there in a box. So, overall, not my favorite episode. Some funny moments, not a lot. Most. So, I think 2 out of 10 was fair for this episode. But because it is the last in our arc, definitive personal ranking. In first place, we have Battle the Black Cat Pirate Crew, Battle on the Slope. Second, Protect Kaya, Usopp Pirate Gang Takes Action. Third, The World's Strongest Weirdo, Django the Hypnotist. Fourth, Completely Infuriated, Kuro vs. Luffy Final Battle. Fifth, The Terrifying Duo, Nyaban Brothers vs. Zoro. In sixth, we have Honorable Liar, Captain Usopp. Seventh is Defeat Kuro, Usopp's Tear-Filled Determination. Eighth is Luffy's Revival, Miss Kaya's Life and Death Confrontation. Ninth, Revealing the Conspiracy, The Pirate Caretaker, Captain Kuro. And then this episode came in 10th and last place, You Are a Special Animal, Gaiman and His Bizarre Friends. Which brings us to our final scoring for the Syrup Village arc. And, well, so far in the East Blue Saga, it is in last place. I knew that was kind of going to happen. I foresaw it on the personal side. Wasn't sure where it was going to end up on the objective side, but I did foresee it on the personal side. But so far, our saga ranking so far on our mostly objective ranking in first place is still Romance Dawn arc with 86.67%. The Orange Town arc came in second with 76%. And Syrup Village arc is in third place officially with 64%. On our personal side, we have the Orangetown arc coming in at 74%. Second place to Romance Dawn arc with 66.67%. And then the Syrup Village arc, again, is now officially in third place with 49% as its final score. Now, the way that we determine the series ranking, how we're going to score the saga, is essentially based on what percentage it's received. It's going to get a numbered score based on the percentage. So on our objective ranking, it got a 64, which means that it is worth 4 points on our objective side. And then on the personal side, it was only 49%, which puts it under 50, which means it has only scored a single point. And therefore, on our series ranking so far, the mostly objective ranking for the East Blue Saga has now gone up to 20 out of 80 when we add our 4 points. And then the personal ranking only added 1 point, and it is now at 12 out of 80. With that, we've now rewatched and ranked One Piece East Blue Saga, Syrup Village Arc's final episode, Episode 18, You Are a Special Animal, Gaiman and His Bizarre Friends. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.